I believe that I'm live. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Um, Welcome, and I want to dive right in. Today, we are talking about sciatica. Okay, so I want to talk about kind of the pain patterns that can revolve around sciatica. What the heck is sciatica? It's kind of this term that gets thrown around a lot. And then, of course, obviously, some solutions for what to do if you have sciatica and how to get it to go away, right? Um, so, thanks for joining me. My name is Linnea. I own a rehabilitative Pilates studio here in Olympia, Washington. I focus a lot on helping people with chronic pain patterns, nagging old injuries, functional biomechanics, that kind of thing. And I myself have gone through many, many surgeries, lots of chronic pain, disc injuries, spinal health issues, things like that. So I am very dedicated to helping folks get out of pain and to understand their body better so that you can move happily and efficiently and easily. And yeah. Okay, so let's talk about sciatica. First off, let's talk about like what it even is, right? So the sciatic nerve is this nerve that goes right down kind of the middle of your back, right? Or like the middle of the sacrum, really, the back of your pelvis. So you have your spine, and your spine comes down and it meets your pelvis, and kind of right in that zone where the spine becomes the pelvis is where a lot of nerves come out right through your sacrum. And the sciatic nerve is the biggest nerve by far. It's this huge bundle that just like kind of wraps through the back of your pelvis and goes down your legs. And so a lot of things can kind of aggravate it, but essentially what sciatica is an aggravation of that nerve. It gets inflamed, it gets pinched, it gets bothered, it gets upset. So, it can come from a lot of places, but essentially that's what sciatica is. If we're talking about sciatica, then we're talking about the nerves that come out of the back of your sacrum. Okay, but then the things that can cause sciatica, the pain patterns associated with it, can be a little bit different for different people. So it is a little bit of a broad term that can get used very generally to just kind of describe like nervy pain in the back of your pelvis. So there's still sort of like some more investigating to do other than just being like it's sciatica, end of story, right? So we still need to understand like what's really going on for you. So the first place that my mind really goes when someone comes to me with sciatica is what's going on with your bones, right? You've got kind of the big ilium, like your pelvis is this big bone, but then within the pelvis there's kind of a handful of different little bones, right? There's like the big side of one hip, the big side of the other hip, and your sacrum's in the middle, and then your thigh bones come out from the bottom, right? So even though it's a very sturdy structure, these different elements that make up your pelvis can get like slightly askew, right? And that can really affect the way that your nerves coming out of your spine have space to do their job and to move, right? So that's the first thing that I look at is like, is your pelvis twisted? Is it kind of cocked on one side? Is there sort of something weird going on one side compared to the other that might give us a clue into where that kind of pinching is coming from? And then, of course, another option is that it's kind of coming from further up in the low back from maybe a herniated disc or something like that. So, a herniated disc is a different thing than sciatica, but it can have very similar pain patterns. So you might be like, oh, I've got sciatica, but it could actually be an issue with the discs in your back, which would kind of be a different thing than just like a nerve that doesn't quite have enough space to move. I mean, ultimately they're kind of the same thing, but still it's a little bit different what we can do with it, right? So, and really what that means also is that sciatica can be really different for different people in terms of how long it sticks around and how big of a problem it is. I know people who have been completely debilitated from sciatica. Like it totally ruins their life. It's so hard to get it to go away. It's totally nagging and frustrating, and they've seen all the different people and it's still there. So I've seen people that experience that, and then I've also seen people that come in, and it's like in a couple sessions, I can kind of get them to learn a few really good stretches and things that rebalance their system, and then it's solved kind of. So, it can really look really different for different people. So let's. So also for that reason, you really want to know, why are the nerves in your back and down your legs, like why are they bugging, right? Because sometimes it's not that big of a deal, and it'll kind of even go away by itself, or with a couple trips to the chiropractor, or just like doing the right stretch. And then sometimes there's a little bit more going on, and it's a little bit more important that you make sure it doesn't get worse, right? So especially if there's nerve pain that's like going down past your knee, down into your calf, down into your foot, that's a little bit of kind of the classic red flag that you might really want to go see your doctor. You might really want to get some imaging, things like that. So obviously I'm a personal trainer, I'm a Pilates instructor, I'm not a doctor, right? I like to say that because I work with a lot of people in pain, but it does not mean that I am diagnosing your issues, right? So I definitely like to work in tandem with medical professionals. So let's talk a little bit about what some solutions can look like for you, okay? Because sciatica is not it's not something to be too afraid of, right? Like in my experience, a lot of times it really can be resolved with just the right mix of exercises and adjustments and things like that. Sometimes it's a little more persnickety than others, but a lot of times it's really just kind of like finding that sweet spot for you, figuring out what gives you relief, and then kind of sticking to that routine and just kind of monitoring, making sure that you're keeping it at bay, okay? So, as a general, it's like I'm not going to give you all of the things that you need to do right now. I'm just going to give you the framework, the kind of blueprint, so that you can start to think about what this needs to look like for yourself, okay? So the first thing that I think about is, again, kind of the alignment and the structure of your spine, your low back, your pelvis, your hips, even all the way down to your feet. But I'm really like looking structurally. So step number one really is to create space for those nerves to move and to understand where is the pinch coming from? Where is the imbalance coming from? What is pressing on that nerve that's causing it to get frustrated, right? So understanding the whole structure and then discovering kind of mobility exercises and rebalancing exercises that are going to create space, right? So if you've got an area that's really compressed and that nerve doesn't have space to move and glide, understanding in a holistic kind of structural way, like what's going to rebalance your body so that that nerve can have space to move, is step number one. So I always like to start with mobility, and really specifically like functional mobility. A lot of people will kind of have a little bit of an inclination to want to just like stretch forward, like do a toe touch, and that's often actually can be a little bit aggravating to sciatica. So it's not just like stretching no matter what. It's really finding the right stretches, doing them the right way. And then from there, a huge part is to then strengthen, because if there's not enough strength in your system to kind of hold that space and hold that newfound structure, then a lot of times it can be kind of the instability and the weakness of your muscles that's kind of like pushing you into that imbalanced alignment in the first place. So first we have to get you out of that funky alignment. We have to remind your body like, no, it's not this pattern, it's a little bit this other pattern. And then from there, we need to strengthen and reinforce and, just kind of create some more resiliency around that newfound pattern. So that's kind of how you can think about it for yourself, starting with understanding mobility and then strengthening your newfound mobility, strengthening your newfound alignment. And if you kind of can find the right mix of those 2 or 3 things, kind of understanding for yourself what's going on with your body, what's causing the misalignment, what is the misalignment, kind of creating some new patterns around that, opening up the places that are compressed, and then reinforcing that newfound pattern. A lot of times that is golden, and that can cause like really immediate relief. It can be certainly a little bit tricky to put all those pieces together and figure it out. So, that is what I help my clients do. Just maybe like a month or two ago, I had a client come in that was struggling with this. And I think it was like one session that took us to kind of like really understand her structure, and I helped her identify so that she could really understand for herself like what that imbalance was. And then another 2 sessions or so of kind of going over some strengthening exercises and things like that. I gave her some homework. And she came back like a month later and was significantly better. And then I was able to just give her like a few more progressions on top of that. And she's back to doing what she loves, which was aerial circus arts. And she had kind of stopped doing that for a while because she was in too much pain. So, we were able to really get her to an amazing place in maybe about like 3 to 5 sessions or so, I would say. So it's totally possible. And I'm happy to announce that I also have some more availability this fall. Pretty much the whole beginning of 2023, I was not accepting new patients, so new clients. So now I am, which is really exciting. And you can click the link below. There's a link there to get on the wait list. I am actively starting to reach out to people. And I don't have a ton of spots available. I think at this point, maybe like 3 availabilities. So definitely check that out if you are interested in having my assistance to help you figure out what's going on with your body. And I hope this is valuable to you. Send this video to somebody that you know that is struggling with sciatica. Like, it's super common. Who do you know? I'm sure you can think of somebody that's kind of complained about some nerve pain and stiffness down in the hips and the low back and the pelvis. So I just really hope this helps you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.